Good, okay. Good afternoon to all of you guys. And I'm so thankful to be back here on the stage where I came from many years ago. Don't ask how many years. I was here. This is like, I grew up here on this stage. My first hosting job was here. Of course, I graduated here from preschool, high school, everything. I got most of my turning points in life happened here on this stage in this school, like many of you guys. So for me, I want to start this talk by tracing my roots. From here on this stage, I realized that I was a creative. Since today our talk is about being creative, so I realized early on that I was a creative. I realized that I fell in love with the theater. So I pursued my first love, which was the theater, and I was always escaping my final class to go and commute, take the jeepney to Shangri-La Plaza and rehearse for a show at Repertory Philippines at that time. I would come back because, again, at that time, my parents said, don't go into theater. Walang pera dyan. So don't pursue anything na wala kang kikitain na pera. Kasi di ba yung mga Chinese, puro ganyan, di ba? So us growing up in a very conservative Filipino-Chinese background, our parents wanted us to be in a very safe environment where we will be financially stable. But then again, my heart called to be in the creative field. So after months of rehearsing and doing the daily commute, telling the guard na nagpaalam na ako sa principal, kahit hindi pa talaga, sorry, wag ako makandaksi ngayon. So from then, I would come back and 2 months after, I was in a show and it was in the papers, it was in the billboard, and then they realized that, oh, you're already doing it. So early on in my life, I had to fight for what I felt was for me. And it was being in the creative field. So that's basically how I got my start. I surrounded myself with creative people, with directors, with actors, artists, costume designers, sound engineers, everybody that had a say, had input in putting a show together. From being on stage when there were no roles, kasi singkit ako, puro tisoy yung mga kinakast, di wala akong roles. So I would be backstage. So I was a stagehand, I was a production crew, ako yung nag-change ng set, ako naglalagay ng TED, ako naglalagay dyan ng set, ako yung nagdala ng kape ng artista, ako yung nagbubuhat ng mga bag nila, mga ganyan. When the first scene had to have like a dead flower shop, I would go to Quiapo and Dangwa and get it from the trash can. And I was a basurero when I was a young kid, like mga high school times. So I would pick these things, and not once did I feel that, kawawa naman ako, why am I doing this? Pang hindi to para sa akin, ganyan. Because I wanted to pursue my dream, which was to be in the creative field, and if this is what it took, I did it. So from there, I was on stage, backstage, I did the marketing, I sold tickets, I sold shows. So front, back, left, right, all 360 degrees of the theater world, I was able to immerse myself in. Knowing the front, back, right, left, everything sides of this industry, I then produced my own shows. Producing my own shows, I became a producer. From being a producer, it became producing fashion shows. Producing fashion shows, people would say, hey, Tim, that was a great party. I met so many good people. Then I realized my skill was bringing people together, uniting people of different industries. So from theater to producing to marketing and sales to doing my own shows, becoming events. Events became clubs. My partners in the club scene said, Tim, we can't let Manila grow without having a proper dance floor. So as for me, my partners, Eric, John, and Fernando, we built Embassy, which I don't know if you guys know, some of you guys know it from before at the fort. It was the first club at the fort, sa BGC. So at that time, BGC was a green grassland, and then we put up our first club. Embassy became Angkor, Angkor became Valkyrie, Valkyrie became Republic, Republic became Silo. So what you see now, Silo in the Palace Complex, and that houses Yes Please, Clubhouse, Revel, and all the other clubs that you guys see now at Uptown was a product of a dream of providing Manila the nightlife that it deserved. You know, so that's my sort of the gist of my career. So from theater to nightlife to events. Events led into work in media. That led to me documenting the generation in the newspaper, and that led to work on TV, and that led to many things, many other ventures that that have resulted in me doing what I do right now. Through it all, through my career, what I've realized is that in life, you're not given everything. You're not given a silver platter. You know, not everybody is lucky to have like amazing, wealthy parents, which I didn't have. Not everybody is lucky to have things handed to them. But I made sure to work hard for everything that I have right now. Again, I always say life is not right or wrong, it's right or left. Different directions, you know, will lead you to where you're supposed to be. I realized that life is about perspective. You know, perspective is what made me change my mind into certain things that will lead you to where you're supposed to go. I just ran the Boston Marathon last April, and the Boston Marathon is the most, it's the scariest, it's the most prestigious, it's the most unnerving marathon there is because it's for the elite marathoners. And I'm not an elite marathoner. I am the most lampa. I am not so athletic. I sleep not, I don't sleep so much. Hindi ako nag-take ng mga gamot na kinaano kanina doon. So me doing a marathon, I'm doing it to prove to myself and for other people that, you know, it's not always the top notchers, you know. So after I do a marathon, people, like say one time, Pia Wurtzbach went to me and said, Tim, kung kaya mo, kaya ko din. You know? So I want to inspire people that think that they can't do it, right? So sa Boston Marathon, there's this part called Heartbreak Hill. Heartbreak Hill is when after 30 kilometers of running, there's 10 more kilometers na uphill. So they call it Heartbreak Hill. Kasi Heartbreak Hill, when you're going through it, people cry, they give up, they realize that ayoko na, hindi ko na kaya. So what I did when I got to Boston, I called his son. I said, Jose, can you drive me through the course? I want to see it. So before I go on the course, I get to see what I'm up for. Sabi ko, drive me through that Heartbreak Hill. So when I was going through Heartbreak Hill, I saw it was pakyat. Pero okay naman. So na-realize ko, this Heartbreak Hill, meron lang siyang publicist, meron siyang PR, spin na lahat ng tao natatakot. Then I realized in my life, you know, when I went through heartbreak, I didn't die. Number one, of course, masakit. Of course, it's not so easy. But when you're going through it, I learned how to embrace the pain. I learned how to embrace and realize that through my life, heartbreak made me stronger. Heartbreak made me wiser. Heartbreak made me choose to embrace the pain so I can realize the difference between sorrow and joy. So during the race day itself, when I was going through Heartbreak Hill, I took my time, I didn't rush. I embraced heartbreak. And in doing so, I was able to finish the race. In the beginning, I thought I couldn't. But somehow, one of my guiding philosophies in life is just go for it. Be present and show up and push yourself and challenge yourself. And then all of a sudden, you're able to do it. So I finished it because I embraced that thing that was supposed to drive you away. Fear. I embraced fear. Talking about fear, I recall when I was a kid, I always had nightmares. So every time I would wake up from a nightmare, I would see monsters in my dreams. My mom told me that, nightmares are a product of your imagination. So you have to use your imagination to combat it. So the next nightmare I had, lumabas yung monster. Paglabas ng monster, pak, lumabas din si Optimus Prime. Galing sa imagination ko. Pak, pak. So, Optimus Prime killed the monster. So, nakatulog ako mabuti. Kasi imagination pala eh. Malakas din imagination ko. So, I can imagine something that can fight this fear that I had inside of me because, nightmares are a product of your subconscious, unconscious mind coming out kasi you're not able to deal with it. So kahit natulog ako, I'm dealing with my, nagtatrabaho pa rin ako even if I'm asleep. But that's how it is. So, my message here for you guys is I want you guys to know that a lot of it is perspective, right? Speaking of another perspective, let's go even deeper into my childhood. And the first instance that I had about dealing with death, aside from yung mga aso ko, mga pusa ko na namatay, ako yung nandun kasi I'm the 7th of 7 kids. So all my siblings were away. Kung mamatay, wala akong kasama, pamatay itong aso ko. But anyway, my grandfather naman, ang ganda na shift, no? When my grandfather died, I said, but I was close to him because, everybody was busy at work, so I was always with my grandparents. And when he passed, my yaya said, no, your grandfather is just asleep. But he's there. Don't worry. He will show up later by your bed. Tinakot ako. Buti lang hindi ako matatakotin. Sabi ko, he's gonna be there. And true enough, that night when I went to bed, I saw my grandfather. I felt his presence. So I realized from an early age that death is a graduation. It's your classmate going to the US because they're going to pursue studies and they're going to go to their university. But somehow you're going to see them again. So every time I go to friends who have lost loved ones, I impart with them that message. That death is, of course, is not easy, but there's a different way of looking at it. They're still there, only invisible. Another time in my life, when I was a little kid coming home from St. Jude, pag uwi ko sa bahay, I saw our house burning down. Sunog. My mom closed my eyes, covered my eyes, said, we're only gonna transfer homes. Bakit mo sinunog ganito insurance? So I go, okay, sure. So we moved to a place that is smaller than that holding room over there. So all 7 of us kids were there and my parents. And then I saw my uncles and aunts, they visited us, and they were crying. Kawawa naman kayo. Kawawa naman kayo. Bakit? Why are we kawawa? Because, look at your living quarters. I looked at my living quarters. I looked at the people that were there. My family was complete. And we were happy. I said, why? So that moment in my life stuck with me because I realized that I live my life and I judge it based not on material things, but based on how many people that are there, that are present in your life, that are your loved ones. We were complete. we were happy. That's all we needed. So that instilled in me a kind of wisdom, that kind of realization that of what life is about, of what matters the most. Of course, after that, I said, we're never going to go back to this little box. And then I worked hard. I made sure that I worked from one job to the next. I did my best. I gave my best from audition to audition, from one company to the next, from one venture to the next. I made sure to give it my all to be the most successful as I can be. But that drove me, it was because of perspective, you know. So life will not always give us what we want, but we can change our perspective. When you're driving, right, you can always change the station. You can always change your soundtrack to make it what will make you better, right? So it's always remember, when you are facing the worst circumstances, to always change your perspective, okay? I go with this life mantra. People ask you, are you a half full or half empty glass? Ang sagot ko dyan, hindi ako baso. I'm a pitcher. Okay? If you are a pitcher, what is your goal? Your goal is to constantly refill yourself. Overflow with self-love. Fill yourself up so you can fill up more glasses. So don't think you are a glass, because we are all pitchers. We are meant to overflow. We are meant to refill ourselves so we can give more to ourselves and to others. There. So there. That's it. That's my little talk for you guys. I hope you guys learned something. And my name is Tim Yap. That's why my initials are TY, because it stands for thank you. And I'm really grateful to be standing here on stage in my alma mater. I am grateful I'm grateful for being here, and I'm grateful to St. Jude Catholic School. Thank you so much, everybody.